And we are finally live. So we're excited to be with you here live from Atlanta, Georgia, where we've just been finishing a workshop here. So doing our second Scrivcast Magcast workshop. And welcome, there we are. Look at the right camera. And we are all sorted and live, and I'd love to welcome you aboard for Challenge Live episode 3. And hope you've had a good day wherever you happen to be, whether it's a Monday in down south in the land down under, or indeed late Sunday evening here. So let's get into it. And this episode is going to be a fun one. We're going to be talking about time. How much time should you be putting into your business? Should you be hustling and putting in all those huge long hours like all our social media superstars do? Is that realistic? Is that what needs to happen for you to actually conduct a successful business? What's the story? Well, that's what we hope to answer here on this broadcast this evening from the hotel room where I've been holding our Scrivcast Magcast workshop here in Atlanta for the last 2 days. We had a great couple of days, very, very productive. And the other thing that I went to while I was here in Atlanta, Georgia, is the Atlanta Pen Show. The Pen Show, I hear you say? Yes, fountain pens. And this is one of the, like, if you talk about it in tennis terms, the Atlanta Pen Show would be one of the Grand Slam. It'd be one of the top 4. And that is something I've always wanted to go to and got the opportunity to go to it. And one of the most exciting things about being at this pen show, and people are saying, what, there's a pen show? There are people who gather about pens? Yes, they are. It's a very good niche. And I was introduced into fountain pens by listening to a great podcast called the Pen Addict Podcast. And it's about, for fountain pens, for those beautiful pens. There's one. This is one I've got here. So a great. This is check that out. Stealth black nib, sensational. But there's a whole niche about pens and fountain pens and collecting them and using them and what nibs you should use and what inks you should use and different types of pens and designs and things that you can collect. And it just was great to remind me that there are all sorts of niches, and by going to a trade show and immersing yourself in that niche, it's extraordinary. But one of the great things about it, and here we are, I spent Saturday night, and woo, do I know how to spend a Saturday night. Last night, I went to this, which was the live recording of the 200th episode of the Pen Addict Podcast. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about what was on the Pen Addict Podcast, although if you listen into episode 200, my name gets dropped a couple of times, which is very nice. But that's not what I'm saying it for. Brad Dowdy and Mike Hurley, who are the two hosts of the Pen Addict Podcast, only a couple of years, they started about 3 years ago, and when they started, both of them were full-time in other jobs, and working 9 to 5 in other jobs, and they were talking about their passion for fountain pens and pens in general just on a part-time basis, talking on this podcast. And anyway, till 200 episodes later, when myself and people from all around the world flew in to join them on their 200th episode, both now full-time, Mike in podcasting, and Brad has his Knock company, which makes pen cases. Beautiful little cases that holds that's not actually a Knock one, this one, but it gives you an idea of holding, people design pen cases. There was a stack of exhibitors there that were designing pen cases. It's a theme. But just like all of you watching here live today, and I think we've got a record crowd today too, which is awesome. Just like you listening today, and if you're in your 9 to 5 or you're just starting out on the challenge, those two were full-time, and now they are full-time, 100% earning a living from the podcast, from Knock, the pen case company, which Brad created, and Mike is running the Relay FM network. It's incredibly inspiring, and it was so thrilling to be there and observe this firsthand, and I'm so thrilled for the lads. But there was another interesting thing about this too, because this whole event, this event that you're seeing, this whole thing was crowd-funded, because they've built their tribe in January of this year to fund Mike to fly over to Atlanta and record this live podcast. They opened up a Kickstarter campaign. And the Kickstarter campaign was funded in like about 36 hours, and you got like a notebook and a cool little sticker pack. And there's actually a badge. It looks like that. It's a pen vest. Yes, there is such a thing as a pen vest. I'm not quite that psycho about pens. But they raised a Kickstarter because they've built a tribe, right? They were able to go out to their tribe and say, look, we want to put on this event. We're going to video it so everybody can participate and watch around the world. And we've got some special edition notepads, which are really awesome notepads, which we'll make available to you. And they funded this whole exercise in about 36 hours, which is pretty darn amazing. And I think they had 4,000 odd backers for this particular Kickstarter. That's huge. That's the future. If you build your tribe and you follow the challenge and you build your list of people just like Mike and Brad do, you could be recording a live podcast at your own event, at your own industry trade show, in a couple of years' time. That's what's super exciting about this. And very important for you to understand, and actually goes to the theme of today's show, is both of these guys had full-time jobs. The concept of hustle and working 60 hours a week was not an option for these two. They had commitments. And so how much time is required to do all of this stuff? Do I have to hustle? If I'm getting 8 hours of sleep, am I not actually committing enough to the cause? Interestingly, in the Cumberland Mall here, which is close by where I'm staying, there was one of those pop-up stands that you see in like the walkways of malls, and there was a whole thing, and it was a whole range of t-shirts about sleeping when you're dead, and if sleeping too much means you're missing out and you're not hustling hard enough, and blah 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 blah. And I can imagine that makes people feel pretty damn guilty about things. You see all these people saying how you have to hustle here, hustle there, working super hard. You have to be dedicated. You quit the television, quit the reading. Focus on everything. You're not being serious unless you burn the bridges. And I'm here to tell you tonight that I personally believe that that is bullshit. Now, if you are a millennial listening to this, you're a 20-something and you have no attachments, you don't have children, you don't have mortgage, you don't have a job that you particularly have to be wedded to, I'm all for it. I'm all for you doing that. And the challenge, you can build your unicorn business and you can hustle and work 40 or 50 hours a week. Although I would advocate to you that I still think that you would be more effective if you worked 30 or 40 hours far more solidly. And for most of you doing the challenge, most of you people listening to this right now and watching this, most of you have significant commitments. If I look at the demographics of who's doing the challenge, most people are over 40 doing the challenge. And you've got commitments, you've got overheads, you've got bills to meet, school fees to pay. Often 9 to 5 working commitments. You're working a plan B now to get on a plan A. And I'm here to tell you right now that this whole hustle concept is bull dust for you. Actually, sorry, that's not true. I'm sorry, that's not quite correct. There's no doubt, a young Steve Jobs, a young Elon Musk, a young Richard Branson, all smashed themselves silly in their 20s. I smashed myself silly in my 20s. You're built for that because you don't have children, you don't have commitments, you don't have mortgages, you don't have that. You can do that, or burn yourself out working for somebody. Go for your life. More cheers to you. But to me, you can work smart in the challenge, right? You can work so much better. And here's the deal. You need to work consistently every single day, but I'd much rather you spent 30 minutes every single day religiously than trying to cram or trying to do 6 hours or trying to stay up late at night if you're not a night person, or get up early in the morning if you're not a morning person. It just doesn't make sense. And the entire, I built the entire challenge on the back of the basis that you can start your transition to the plan B so that you are just like Brad and Mike did, right? Just like they did, where, they slowly but surely over the course, took them 3 years to do. I'm reminded Nathan Chan of Founder Magazine, who is doing extraordinarily well now, was full-time working as an IT support person at a travel agency, for goodness sake. Right? It happens. It can happen, and it doesn't have to be, right, burning the candle at both ends. In fact, I would go so far as to argue that that is actually detrimental. Because here's what's important, okay? Here's actually what's important. It's energy management, right? Not the woo-woo energy, chakra, all of this sort of stuff, get a piece of yourself, center, get your chi on, drink lots of caffeine. Oh, hotel decaf, you can't get better than that. Oof, pucker up. That's not what I'm talking about. I am talking about the energy that is absolutely proven by science, which is willpower, which in the last couple of years, thanks to the pioneering work of Roy Baumeister, I should say, we know that willpower is a fuel tank. Okay, it operates just like a fuel tank, and every single decision that you make, whether it's what sort of waffle you're going to get at Waffle House tomorrow morning, or what you're going to wear, or indeed business approaches and business strategies, and what experiments should I conduct, or what things should I do, all of those are willpower decisions. And with every decision you make, you deplete your willpower tank. And this is pure science now, okay? This is not any woo-woo crap. It is pure, utter science, provable science. And so it's very important as a challenger, as somebody who's got commitments, who has got family and wants to keep them, who has, commitments and mortgages and all of these sorts of things. It's very important to understand that all of that stuff takes decisions, which means it depletes your willpower fuel tank, and you have to manage that energy. I'm interested in teaching for the 99%, not the 1%. And the reality is that you need, if you can spend 30 minutes to an hour, now listen to me, religiously, you don't get off scot-free. It's not that you just can't sit here and manifest it into happening. I don't subscribe to this secret, just really visualize it in my mind every single day and it's all going to happen. Good luck with that. Oh yeah, that's really, really good. I'm not a big fan of that sort of stuff. But I do know that any serious practice, if you want to be professional about what you're doing, if you want to be professional about that, professional is not hours spent. There's no correlation. I often have had discussions with challengers and talk to them about, how they're working. They say, oh, I spend hours in front of the computer every night. Well, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. Because you need to do focused, action-based sessions. We've set up the entire challenge so it's chunked down into individual little sessions. Most videos in the challenge, 3, 4 minutes, 5 minutes long. I think the longest is about 10 minutes max. The idea is to watch the video and then implement what you see in the video straight away. If you're just watching videos the entire time, that is not taking action. The best way to describe it is, is the activity that you're undertaking adding value to your tribe or not? Here I am speaking to you guys. It does happen to be late, but that's neither here nor there. It's because normally it's right in the middle of the day in Australia where I normally am, so it's quite convenient for me as a general rule. But this thing here, I'm contributing. I hope I'm contributing. But this time that I'm spending with you, to 18 minutes 55 seconds so far, is I'm trying my best to contribute to my market. I'm doing something that is communicating with my tribe. So that is a big tick. I'm I hope, adding value to my marketplace. If I'm watching a video on a new technique, right, that is not adding value to the marketplace in any way, shape or form, right? Because I'm watching a video. Nobody else can see me watching a video. Maybe if I was commenting on the video or writing up a report or a blog post on that video and I was publishing that, then yes, I'd be contributing my market. If I was conducting an experiment or building my lead magnet or testing an opt-in page, all of those things are contributing to the marketplace. They're adding value, or will add value. They're an important part of the plumbing in which to deliver value to your market. So that is completely useful stuff. And that's what you need to do in this 30 minutes to an hour. So I've got some specific sort of steps that you can take to do this. And I should say, if you've got questions about what I'm saying, or you want to ask anything about that, you can see that you can ask questions beside me there, and you just need to register with the chat system so we know who you are, and please feel free to ask questions live, and you can indeed leave those questions at any time. The page is available up all the time during the week, so if you can't make the live show, then we'll do my best to endeavour to answer them here for you. You can leave the questions at any particular time. So there you go. So if you have that, and by the way, if for some reason you've stumbled on this broadcast from the blog or somewhere else and not directly from the challenge is available right now. It's happening right now, and you can indeed just go and you just simply have to register. It's all available completely free of charge. All the modules that are there are available, so you can go through it at your own pace. And hopefully, thank you for being here and coming along and joining us and being part of this broadcast. And it's great. We're 3 episodes in, still getting the technical stuff down, but we're getting there, right? So it's good. You've got to be in the field, right? There's no good me intellectually thinking about all the things that could go wrong. You've got to get in the field, and we've got to test them to find out what does go wrong. So each time we'll improve and we'll figure out better ways of doing things, and we'll get better at it over time with a bit of luck. So here's some very specific recommendations. I've taken the opportunity of making sure I wrote all these down. So I want to make sure that that's the case. So remember, right, it's not like the secret or something where you manifest and believe, if you believe you'll achieve. Not a big fan of that stuff. You have to take action, right? And we've indeed designed the whole challenge. So you watch a video and then you do what's in the video. You do that in a 30-minute session every single day, you will advance. You will be amazed yourself at what you get done. So here's some guidelines and some suggestions for you. So let's have a look. So the first step that I've written here is that it must be a religious practice. And what do I mean by that? Is that if you're serious about making a plan B, then you have to be serious about carving out a little bit of time. My suggestion first off is half an hour, and then maybe move it up to an hour as you get there. And and as the money starts coming in, then maybe, who knows, you'll be able to go part-time, or you'll be able to gradually transition. But right now, you need to carve out that half hour, and you need to do it every single day. Now, personally, I work Monday to Friday. I don't work on the weekends unless it's this weekend and I'm doing a workshop for you guys and I'm traveling. But as a general rule, I don't work on the weekends whatsoever. I don't open up my Slack channels. I don't answer social media. I just don't do any of that because I'm too busy driving my daughters around to their various activities. I really should be a Uber driver for them. So, that's just that's me. So you may do Monday to Friday practice, or you might be able to do, if you've got less commitments, 7 days a week. But whatever you do to commit to, it must be a religious time. You need to schedule it. It needs to be in the calendar. And it needs to be a time of day, this is important, where you're on your game. Now, you'll know this. You'll know whether you're a morning person or a night person or a lunchtime person. You'll sense it. You'll know where you're most active and where you can do most of your work. It's very important. Okay, you'll know. Right? So, are you a morning person? Me, I'm a morning person. I'm not a night person. Like now, I like to be watching Housewives of Atlanta and owning Noobs on The Division. That's sort of what I prefer to be doing at night, non-creative activities. Although some of the work that we do in The Division is incredibly creative. Really works of art. But that's me. Some people, like Nathan Chan from Founder Magazine, he doesn't even fire up till it's 10 p.m. at night. He's crazy. Makes me tired thinking about it. I know I don't bother to call him before midday because he's usually not functioning. But he's a night person. That's fine. Whatever it is. That's where you need to create your challenge time, okay, in wherever you are strong. So you need to be able to move around that. So typically, particularly if you've got a 9 to 5, it's going to be at that morning, or it's going to be, at night. Maybe lunchtime. I know quite a few challengers who use their lunch to do it. But you need to sort out that time, and you need to schedule it. It must be in the calendar, okay? And you've got to, it's got to be a thing where you can't push it aside. Because if you find yourself having to push it aside, and this typically happens when you're low on willpower, if you've made a lot of decisions during the day, that's why I like doing it in the morning personally, because it's easier for me to be able to be strong and know, you know what? I'm not going to play Candy Crush. I'm going to do my half an hour of challenge work because I've got plenty of willpower at that point in the day. Whereas at night time, I've got no willpower at all. That's why I shouldn't have a packet of Tim Tams anywhere near me at night. That's just me. Okay. So the next thing you need to do is understand, if you're doing the challenge, this is really easy, but as you go on with your career, and I still do this now because I do all of these steps that I'm talking about with you, I do myself and still do. You need to make sure you know what done looks like for the end of the session. What are you trying to achieve in this session? So if it's the challenge, it's really super easy. We've laid it out for you. You do whatever is in the video of the challenge. Well done. That's what you've achieved for that session. Perfect. As you get on, you'll be doing things like writing copy, or you might be doing a video like this, or whatever it has. Whatever it is, you need to know what's done looks like for the session, so you know why you're there. And you don't need, and you shouldn't arrive at your scheduled session and going, what am I going to do today? That's bad. Because you'll spend either A, all of your time thinking about what you should do and then you're done, or you'll use that as an excuse. You're not sure what you'll do, and then you end up not doing anything at all. Okay, so it's very important for you to understand what the aim of this session is. And of course, with the challenge, we make it super easy. You don't even have to make a decision. Each practice session, you do one video of the challenge. Very simple. That's how you get and go through and step it through. So that's how you do it there. Next thing is use a timer. Use a timer. Okay, I always have a timer. I use Siri, or I use the time timers, or actually this is super sweet. This is my product recommendation of the week. This is the block timer. Now, how it works is typically this side is up. So all you have to do is, if you want to do a 30-minute session, which is what we usually recommend, you just put the, hang on, there we are. You put that on the top and the timer starts, a little red light goes here, and then you also have the timer here. So all you do is literally, it's there, and you tip the timer up and you say, and it starts timing automatically for 30 minutes. How sweet's that? Really cool. That is the Cube Time Maker. Cube Time Maker. There's all different types. There's ones that like do 1, 2, 5, 7, and there are one that do longer as a period of time. But it's like $7 or something on Amazon. Great little timer. Fantastic. 30-minute sessions, which is I'm a huge fan of. The good old 30 minutes. Massive fan of 30 minutes. You need to do your sessions to a timer. All the best people use a timer. Gary Halbert used a timer. All of the best people I know. Sarah McLachlan, the great singer and Canadian artist, every morning religiously she's in the studio and records 30 minutes of music every single day. That's how she works. That's her process. Stephen King, because he's a writer, doesn't use a timer per se. He has a word limit. So he has some sort of time, some sort of constraint. It's so much more effective. When we were doing our workshop sessions today, they were all 2 timers, okay? So time your sessions. Race yourself to get it done in the 30 minutes because you'll do much better. Here's the deal. It's the MasterChef phenomenon. Have you watched MasterChef or Top Chef or Kitchen Rules or any one of those cooking shows? They all have this one thing in challenge, like a mystery box challenge. One where they pull off the box and they have a look, and there's a banana, a beetroot, and a peach. And they have 10 minutes to deliver a dish for the judges, and they hit the timer for 10 minutes, and off they go. And here's the thing, have you noticed how that I'm an avid watcher of these shows? I reckon I can count on one hand with a couple of fingers lopped off the number of times somebody has completely failed to plate up, as they say in the trade, to present something to judges. Now, plenty of people presented something which was turgid, but they delivered something. They plated up. Why? 2 reasons. One is they're on national television and they don't want to look like dills, right? That's very important. So there was an absolutely massive external constraint. But the other thing is they were working to a clock. They were working to a timer. If you don't have constraints, if you are not working to constraints, and let's face it, and it might not seem like this for you right now, but we're pretty much in a world of no constraints. For goodness sake, I am sitting in a hotel room in Atlanta. My iPhone 6S is here in front of me, and I'm speaking to hundreds of people all around the globe. There really are no constraints. There really are none. Trouble is, if you're in a world of no constraints, what happens? You end up doing nothing. You need to create constraints for creativity. And a timer, that's why a timer is so important with these sessions. So you race yourself. So each challenge video, you race yourself for 30 minutes. Each lesson is doable in 30 minutes. We designed it that way. Now, you may not do it every time. That's cool. But at least you've set yourself the target. And that is what's important. Okay, so use a timer. What else have we got? We've talked about what time of day. The other thing we've talked, of course, we're huge fans of Kolbe and the Kolbe Action Index. How do you work and how do you operate? Understanding how you operate is actually a really big deal. So if you've got to create a lead magnet, for example, which of course we talk about in the challenge and show you how to create a lead magnet, if you are using the Kolbe numbers, if you're a high fact finder, high follow through person, what I'm doing here would terrify you. You hate video, right? I know, I'm like the mentalist, right? But you hate video. It's not something you like to do. The spontaneous nature of this is no good. That doesn't mean you're bad or you suck. You do much more, you won't wander or blab like I tend to. But maybe that lead magnet is going to be much better being a PDF, for example. So understanding for you, whereas people like me who are high, super high quick start, super low follow through, writing something is death. It's horror. Like, you can do it, but you put so much work and effort and willpower into it that it just makes your whole week miserable, and you really have to try to, you might, gut yourself over to doing it, but boy, you talk about using your willpower tank, you blow yourself up for doing anything else for the week. So, important to understand how you act, and that's why we emphasize and really do suggest that people have a look at the Kolbe action profile, and we really suggest that you take it, and so you see how you act, because if you act in the way that you naturally do act, guess what? It's a bit like fuel efficiency for your willpower engine. You'll use less fuel doing activities that are conducive to your strengths. So, for example, me doing this video here, not a big deal. But I'm telling you right now, if I had to write a blog post here at 20 to 11 at night, not a chance. No way. I will be playing Candy Crush or owning Noobs on the Division quicker than you can say Father Christmas, because I just don't operate at that time of night as a general rule. It's a testament to how easily I find doing video that I'm doing this now for you guys, right? Because otherwise, normally, no way. But that's again, what's your way you act? What are your strengths? What are your natural abilities? It's so worth knowing that. So that's really useful. The final thing I'll mention here is, understanding and using some sort of flow, like a personal Kanban, or some sort of agile technique like Scrum or any of those sorts of things. So you manage the flow of how you work. It can be another really, really big advantage. So I hope that's been of use to you. And if you've got questions, of course, you can pop questions in the box available, and more than happy to answer them. And in fact, indeed, speaking of questions, let's have a look at these questions and see how we're going. And I'm just going to bring up all of this here. Just typing on the baby iPad Pro here. Let's bring this up. Do a little refresh there so I get all your latest questions. Flick down there. Hit approved comments here. All right, beauty. Here we go. So let's have a look at questions. Okay, Lucy asks, "Hi Ed, I often find myself overwhelmed by everything we need to do in our online business. There's so much to learn, so much to do. How can I overcome this?" The overwhelm is a big issue, right? You're not alone, Lucy, and excuse me while I have a little drink. Fosters. I wish. So, how do you overcome this? I think, without a question, the best thing that you can possibly do is implement an agile strategy like personal Kanban. Indeed, last week our book of the week was Personal Kanban, which can give you a great grounding. We run a course called Achieve a Formula, which teaches how you implement it. But the point is, and just to explain to you, because I don't want to sell you on our course or other books, I don't want you to spend money in the challenge, obviously. But the point is, you need to visualize your flow of work, and indeed you need to restrict the flow of work. Because if you have a look and you're completely overwhelmed, one is you're probably trying to keep too much stuff in your head. You need to get it out visually. And if, by the way, 65% of you watching this right now, because you're all entrepreneurs, I know, because there's no why would you be spending Sunday night listening to me instead of, Housewives of Atlanta or whatever is awesome. I'm doing the Housewives of Atlanta tour tomorrow. Hopefully I can see Nene. It'll be awesome. I'm sort of only slightly kidding. But here's my point. If you have a follow through of 7 or less, right, if you try to use a standard to-do list or a to-do app or a process or a day planner, day timer, getting things done, OmniFocus, any of those things, you might set it up and do a really good job setting it up, but there's a small problem. You'll never go back and look at it. You just won't. You're an entrepreneur. There, as I say, 35% if you do go back to it, and you can use this tool, but a lot of people, the majority of people, can't do this. In fact, we created this app, Achiever, specifically for rituals to remind. This is just one part of it, because I needed to be in my face reminded of things, and that's why, when I'm at home, you see my personal Kanban board behind me. I need, a visual reminder of how things are going. But the other thing I've got on there is all the things I'm thinking about, all of the options. So one of the best ways you can get this technique, which I learned about from the great king of leisure himself, Dean Jackson, is doing a 50-minute focus finder. So you grab your timer, okay, and you set it for 50 minutes, your smartphone timer for 50 minutes. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, Lucy, I want you just to spend that 50 minutes doing nothing else but writing down everything that comes into your head about all the things that you need to do. It's an incredibly clearing exercise, because what happens is you get all the stuff that's in your head and you get it out on paper. Because there's an effect called the Zeigarnik effect. Zeigarnik. You'll look it up on Wikipedia. Zeigarnik effect. And here's the deal. Everything that you keep in your head is your brain is spending energy, I can never pronounce it, calorific. You're expending calories, you're expending energy to keep that stuff in some sort of memory, all the things. And it could be taking the bins out, it could be remember to feed the cat, and it could also be the core and key things you need to do on your business, right? All those things. So that is a big issue, because you're keeping all of those things in there, the amount of energy that you have available to doing creative things, to enter flow states where you really get in and stuck into something and really start producing content, it's really hard to do. So by doing this focus finder, and you get overwhelmed because you don't know what's going on in your head, you've got this overwhelm, is this thing of feeling of frustration of not knowing what to do and having a feeling of just having too much to do. So you have to restrict that flow. And the first part of it is what's the first, any 12-step program for any sort of addiction is to acknowledge you have a problem. Set your timer for 50 minutes and vomit out everything that you've got in your head. Family stuff, health stuff, business stuff, hobby stuff, everything. Get it out. And you will be absolutely amazed at how much better you feel by getting it out of your head and onto paper. That's the very first part. And I find myself doing this all the time. Like, I've been away for 7 or 8 days from home, and I know when I finally get back at my desk on Wednesday morning my time, I will be doing a 50-minute focus finder, because I need to just center myself and ground myself back again, because I've been on the road for a few days. So I do this exercise every now and then myself, because it's just a great way to ground myself. Then establish a Kanban and all those sorts of things are just brilliant for all of that. Okay, so good luck with that, Lucy. The next one is Danny. I like making videos and I'm very comfortable being on camera. What tips would you have to making good videos? Okay, there are 2 key elements to good video tips I would give, and one is light and the other one is audio. And if there was one thing that above all that I would be checking on video, is actually audio. Because people will put up with a dark picture, and indeed the lighting here is not ideal. I've got this is another yellow broadcast, because it seems all hotel rooms have yellow, those bony coloured lampshades. I've got one just literally here. So I'm coming off a bit yellow. But people that's okay. I'm just looking a bit jaundiced. But it's not, that doesn't stop the enjoyment of the broadcast. What will cause you to go nuts, though, is if the audio isn't right. If you can't hear me well enough, it drives people banana-rama. So having your audio actually right on video, believe it or not, the most important part of video is audio. So making sure that happens. Now, having said that, if you're in a quiet room, like I am here, I am not using a special microphone. This is straight into the iPhone 6s. Now, one of the unsung heroes of the Apple iPhones is the amount of technology they put into their microphone stuff is just out of this world. It's outstanding. But, you don't need to do that. But if I start standing back down here, all of a sudden my voice is going to get super echoey and it's just not as an enjoyable experience. So that's one of the things I would suggest. Then lighting, obviously, is the other part. This is not super ideal right now, but, it is what it is. But at home, I've got a lot more control, but people often ask me about my videos because they love the lighting in the videos. It's because I use a window. I've got a big window in my office, and I've got a shade that I can lower up and down. And depending on how much light I need, is how low I drop the shade. So it's little things like that add to the quality of the video. Also, good editing, of course, is the other part of great videos. So editing them up and chunking them up and all those sorts of things also can be a really good element to that. Okay, so now I must add, if you've got any questions, pop them in. We're getting to the end of the questions for this week. So if you've got any other questions you'd like me to add, then please let me know. Jess says here, haters gonna hate. Very nice, very good. How do you stay positive when you get negative comments? Okay, it's a great question. This is a huge question because it is something that people struggle with, because when you put your head above the parapet, whenever you become any form of public figure or express an opinion online, you're going to attract haters. It's just completely natural. Okay, so that is just a classic part of that. So, first thing you have to understand is any public figure has people who don't agree with what they say. And if you think about it, this is actually crucial to our species survival. Think about this, if any one person was loved by 100% of people, they would be the most dangerous person the planet has ever seen. Because, absolute power corrupts absolutely? Well, that person would have absolute power, right? Because they have that. We're actually designed as a species to have dissenting opinions. It keeps us alive. So, even Mother Teresa had haters. The Bangladeshi authorities hated what she did. The British government, not big fans. The people who looked after her in various hospitals did not like her. She was cantankerous. But, that's just life. You can't please everybody. If you ask people, do you like the look of this design? Do you like a look of this logo? The best you can ever hope for in a focus group test is a 6.7 or 7. That's the best that you could hope for. You're never going to get 10 out of 10 people liking your logo or your font or your Magcast cover or whatever it happens to be. Just the nature of it, right? Just how it is. And that's cool. That's what it's like. Having said all of that, I still am not happy when I get a negative comment. I don't like it. It does affect me. Now, I'm better at it now, so I only want to find their house and take a baseball bat to them for a few minutes, but it still does, I'm human, right? So it does annoy me. I know now not to feed trolls and not to engage, because their nasty comments say more about them than it does me. If it's somebody I respect being highly critical of me, then I will sit up and take notice, because hey, if they're being critical, then I need to check what I'm doing, right? But Mr. Anonymous, angry person 737, I'm not going to lose sleep over what they have to say. But I've got to tell you, when you're first online, and I often see this with clients, they say, oh no, we're getting inundated with, people don't like what we're doing, blah, 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 blah. And I said, really? Is that the case? I said, how many people? And they said, oh, lots. Really? How many specifically? Are we talking, hundreds, 200? Oh, no, four. How many of these things have you sold? Oh, 800? So 4 people out of 800 have complained. But let me tell you, those complaints, they stand out huge in your week. So they dominate. So you've got to get perspective about these things as well. But, it's a learned skill. There's no question about it. And, you should congratulate yourself, because the first time you get some form of troll or hater, you're actually starting to make an impact on the world. So, if there's a silver lining there, congratulations, right? It means you're up doing something. Because if you've got nobody who just disagrees with you, no angry comments on YouTube, you're not trying hard enough. By definition, the worst emotion, as Gary Halbert used to say to me, the worst emotion that you can engender in people is ambivalence. Don't care. Because if people really love you, by definition, there'll be people yin and yang. There'll be people that really hate you. It's just the nature of things. Because if you dare to have an opinion, you'll dare to have people disagree with you. And of course, the anonymous nature of some form of comments mean that people will say mean things they would never dare say to your face, because they're anonymous. But, at the end of the day, you have to be cool with that. Now, Gail says here, you always do a great job for your tribe. Thank you. Oh, that's lovely. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. Malcolm asks, do you have any advice for an 11-year-old challenger? Woo! That is so great. I'm very excited. My daughter, who is focusing on the Minecraft market. Yes, I do. 2 pieces of advice. One is to use a timer, okay? And make sure, just like I was saying before, you chunk the time, right? You chunk your time, so you dedicate a little bit of time to this. Just like learning Minecraft, you have to practice and you have to get your skills. Same with creating a product, and you need to carve out time to do that. So as you're doing the challenge, just follow along with the challenge and do that time, right? And do a deal with Dad and say, okay, Dad, if I do my challenge lessons for this week, you get me an ice cream. Something like that, whatever motivates you, right? Maybe get your dad to take you to the pictures or something that you'd like to do, right? So you get into this process of, getting positive reinforcement for doing work. And I've got to say, if you investigate, I know my eldest daughter, Hannah, she's 14, and I have her doing a personal she came with me on a trip to Europe and learned how to do personal Kanban when I was teaching it to a workshop. And now she does it for all her school as well, and it really helps her keep in touch with her school. So a lot of these lessons that you're learning, you can also apply to your schoolwork as well. So good luck with it. We've had some amazing Challenger success stories over the years from teenagers, and I think the youngest ever successful Challenger was 8 years old. So it's awesome that you're doing this. I wish I had learned how to do this at 11, because I had to pump petrol at a gas station and deliver medicine in the middle of winter to earn $12 a week. So you'll do a lot better. So well done and congratulations, and keep up with it. Joseph asked, what is the best source of traffic to start on? That's interesting. We were talking about this at our workshop today here in Atlanta. And I've got to say, I like Facebook as a first test, because the traffic tests are super cheap. You can do a really interesting test for about $20, and you can start getting really good feedback, and you can create small, nice, targeted tests. So for me, Facebook is the first and best. It used to be Google. For years and years and years it was Google, but now unfortunately you need to spend about $200 to get a decent amount of traffic that you can do in testable quantities. So for me, Facebook is the first place to test. LaShawn asks, I'm in the personal development niche. It's difficult to define my USP. Any suggestions? Yes. In the absence of a USP, if you're just starting out or it's not something that's obvious to you, then you need to look at it from the perspective of how can I serve my market, okay? What do I do that helps people? How can I help people in my particular market? So that might be a particular technique that you use, or indeed, if you're starting out, a great way of helping people is by interviewing experts that do have a USP. And so you're helping beginners like yourself get in touch with people who are already quite experienced in the marketplace, so that you become a curator and it's helping save people time. So that's one thing to do. And then as you work here's the thing. What I do know is this: you're not going to be able to watch challenge videos and then at some point a ray of light shines through the window and the angels descend down from heaven and they say, LaShawn, here is your USP. The only way you end up with understanding what your unique selling proposition is, something that makes you a bit unique, that makes you special in your marketplace, is by getting in the marketplace and just serving your market, helping them out, and at a point in time you'll discover what your USP is. You do not figure out what your USP is first and then and only then, once you've got it, enter the market. That's not how it works. It's the other way around. So always be thinking, how can you help your market? And through helping your market, you'll discover what's unique about you, because we're all special little sunflowers. But there's no way of discovering how you're special until you're in the market and you're actually testing, okay? So that's the only way you can discover it. So don't let not having something that's unique stop you from being in the marketplace. Because just by interviewing and creating products of people who already have established their expertise, you're helping people in that market. You're already starting to serve that market. A asks, how do I get lots of targeted traffic cost effectively? Know very carefully what your pains, gains and jobs to be done are in your market, just like we talked to you about the challenge. Understand what all the single target markets are and very narrowly target each result. I'm working with a private client at the moment, and we were, initially he was getting a click-through rate of about 0.1%. And because he felt he was narrowing the particular niche. And, at first glance, you look at it and go, yeah. But then what we did was that we actually, use a completely different niche. But let's say it was lawyers, okay? And he was targeting lawyers. So he was doing ads targeting lawyers, and it was not getting really good click-through. But then we started targeting, say, the financial managers of law firms, so the people who handle all the office management at law firms for this particular thing. And all of a sudden we went from 0.1% to 2% click-through, which is a major, major, major increase, because we were very narrowly targeting. And of course the cost of that traffic went down too, because the effectiveness went up. So Facebook rewards you, and so does Google for that matter, to be more targeted. So the more narrowly you can cast your advertising, the more cost effective it will be. So that's the best way to do that. If you have an app, of course, currently the free inverted commas where you have to spend time instead of money, Instagram and App Store. Having an app, you'll get natural traffic, and Instagram at the moment, you're able to get effectively free traffic as well. They're the two places. Okay. You often refer to people who are high fact finders and follow through. What number is considered high on the Colby? 7 and above is the answer to that. 7 and above. So in your particular case, Charmaine, you're a 5673, so you're very close to being a facilitator, but your highest one is Quick Start 7, which is in a 7. So there you go. And again, listening to the listening in terms of listening to the where are we here? So, you know, listening to the Colby description of your particular modus operandi and the audio will really give you a great insight into that. Okay, Roger says, stuck on which market? I like several, but not burning passion. I'm also tired of being an expert. I already have a consulting biz. How can the challenge help me have a business that doesn't need me? Okay, in this day and age, when you're setting up a business, it does need you, right? And I've got to be very upfront with you, Roger, that I think autopilot businesses where you think that you don't need to be or not to be involved is crap. It's absolute and utter bullshit. If you go away for 12 months sailing around the world and you leave somebody in charge of your business and you never check in, you will come back at best to a burning crater of a business. It's just ridiculous. What you do want to do, though, is set up a business where you do have flexibility and you don't have to spend lots of hours in that. And that's why I think Agile for entrepreneurs is so, so important. But, you know, you absolutely, the challenge is not about that side of things, you know, very clearly. It's about getting started in a particular niche and starting to build your list, because without a list, you don't have anything. So you really need to pick a lane, right? You need to pick something because you are going to have to establish it. Even if, you know, you've got the resources to build a team, then that's great, build a team, but what you have to do doesn't change, okay? The impact and the processes that you need to have and do, they do not change, right? So that, I'm sorry if you don't like that answer, but it's real life. You need to pick a lane. You need to decide you need to take the one that appeals to you the most and just run with it. Because the worst case scenario is it doesn't work, but at least you've learnt the process. And then when you try something else, you'll have a better, you know, it'll be much, much easier for you to do. Greg asks, when are you coming to Memphis? I'd love to come to Memphis. Never been to Memphis. How would I transition from my roofing business to internet marketing? My plan is to continue to scale up my business till the next year and sell it for $1.5 to $2 million. Very good. And then market a course on how to generate leads for your local business from someone who's actually done it and benefited from it. What do you think? I think it's great. It's a great idea. It's all about execution, though, right? It's how do you execute that? That's the key to it. And then which market are you going to help? You know, business, local business is a massive market and it's full of massive number of sub niches. There are hairdressers, there are lawyers, there are accountants, there are mechanics, there are gift shop owners. There are all of these different things. And the target, in fact, actually talking about things we're discussing today, this thing came up. If you, for example, say, well, I can, I can show you how to generate more leads for your business, right? Sounds salesy. It's crazy. And it just shows a lack of respect for the particular business, because if you are a florist, here's what you want to hear. Hey, do you do weddings? Do you have capacity to do more weddings? Because weddings are crack cocaine for florists, because that bunch of flowers that cost $20 on Tuesday cost $200 for the wedding, right? They love it. It is money for jam. That's where they get the big money. If you go to a mechanics, you would ask, hey, do you do fleet? Do you do fleet servicing? And do you have capacity for more fleet servicing? Because unless you've got hundreds of thousands of dollars to spray against the wall every month in advertising, you need to be smart You need to target. That's all of our advantage here. Our advantage against the huge deep pockets of big commercial and VC funded players is that we can speak direct to our market. We can give them the courtesy of directly and dynamically targeting these individual markets with our own voices, with their voice, with the market's voice. So instead of saying, we can generate you more business, to a florist, you say to them, we can get you more weddings. That shows respect and understanding for their business. Being generic is not going to help, so that would be an advantage. But hey, at the end of the day, every business would love more leads. If you can unlock the way to path to show them how to do that, it's awesome. And, it's a great business. So, thumbs up, I say. Steve asks, is there any other niche than internet marketing niche worth going for? In other words, the only niche I can see is how to get rich on the net. Well, yesterday I was at the fountain pen convention where people were talking fountain pens. Today I was at a workshop with people who were in the survivalist niche, with people who were in golfing, with people who did security software for hospitals, with people who do travel photography. Seriously, Steve, what that tells me is your focus has been on internet marketing stuff. Your crack cocaine right now is internet marketing. Bless you. But there's a huge, big, wide world out there of people who enjoy cooking, of people who enjoy all sorts of different things, of all hobbies. There's a million markets. Internet marketing is a pimple on the butt of the world market. At any one particular point in time, there's 200,000 to 300,000 people worldwide who are interested in internet marketing, for want of a better phrase. Right? It's tiny. It's the tiniest of tiny markets. I love it. Right? It's one, but it's tiny compared to golf, compared to IT security, compared to fountain pens either. There's probably as many fountain pen enthusiasts as there are internet marketing enthusiasts. So it's crazy. So what are some other? So you like guitars, you like recording. How to record, being audio engineers, that's a big deal. Being a songwriter, all of those things. Remember, and this is core in the challenge, you need to find 1,000 people who are prepared to give you $100 a year in return for products and services, and that's a $100,000 a year business. That's the way to think. And you should do it in something that you love. Rob Gordon, good mate of the challenge, he is in the percussion guitar niche. Talk about niches in niches. Our good friend Robert Nolan, Gypsy Jazz Guitar Secrets, has made a fabulous business out of gypsy jazz guitar. So there's stacks of stuff there. You need to pick a lane, okay? You need to decide and try a particular lane. You need to commit and say, right, with this challenge, I am going to do this, and focus on that. That's what you need to do. The reason that we think, there's all these niches or there's no niches, is just resistance. It's your brain trying to protect you from embarking on this enterprise which could potentially cause you pain and discomfort. Your brain doesn't want that for you. It wants to keep you nice and warm and happy. And you have to make a really conscious decision to say, you know what, it's time for me to start to pursue this plan B and make it a plan A. That's what it's all about. Okay, I think we're almost at the end here. Brett says, I think I'm missing something. I signed up the challenge, but challenge.co just always prompts me to register again. How do I access the program videos? Yes, as John would say, you go to challenge.co/dashboard to log in. So challenge.co is for where we want you to send all your friends and family and people that you think might benefit from challenge training. But challenge.co/dashboard is where you go. That's the room where it happens. That's where all the action is. So when you get your login details, you go to challenge.co/dashboard and you log in there. That's where you do all your login stuff. All right, I think that is it for today. Thank you very much for being part of Challenge Live. Love doing this, love helping you guys out. As always, like, these recordings are available inside the challenge. They're put up a bit later in the week each time. And you can access old episodes and watch those. You can also leave questions for me next time for me to answer. You can do that at any time of the week. Don't forget to, of course, do the challenge and to take advantage of the challenge. Sign up at challenge.co. And make sure when you sign up, you go to challenge.co/dashboard so you can get all of the content and all of the information. All right, with that, thank you very, very much. It's awesome to have been chatting to you from New York last week and Atlanta this week, but we'll be back home in Melbourne next time. So with that, ciao for now. Thank you very much for participating, and good luck with your challenge this week. See you later.